Who can break the dominance of the Tesla Model Y? Is it maybe the Xpeng G6? Similar size, also quite similar pricing and faster charging and maybe even performance? Is it actually better than a Tesla Model Y? We're going to find out here with Thomas and Autogefuehl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go! The Xpeng G6 has a very fluent round front, you can see here. Also the daytime running light integration, really slim. This color here is called fiery orange. So indeed a very strong orange color, but you can also get more subtle notes if you like that. And here a quite sporty front in the lower part. Then size-wise, indeed very much comparable to a Tesla Model Y, 4.75 m or 187 inches. However, you already get more equipment from standard. For example, these 20-inch wheels are standard. It is because customers demanded these large wheels, and if there was a choice also for their other vehicles, they also picked always the bigger wheels. And I don't think that's maybe the best decision, because visually it looks better, yes, but you always have to know that bigger wheels means a little bit less riding comfort and also less range. So smaller wheels would actually be better in that case. But in this case then they went for that decision. Here also interesting how the wheel arches are not all the way contrasted, but here have this contrast in the middle, let's say. So this is a very unique take they have on this vehicle, and also unique to the rear, where they have this coupe-ish back. It also reminds me a little bit of the Porsche Macan, so they are kind of similar, a little bit from the rear perspective, or don't you think so as well? Also once again the slim taillight integration right here. And then you have different versions available. It starts with the standard range rear-wheel drive model. This is then at 6.6 seconds in the acceleration figure, then 6.2 seconds for rear-wheel drive with the bigger battery, and this one here is the G6 Performance. All-wheel drive, one electric motor in the rear, one in the front, then at 4 seconds in the acceleration figure. That is of course, yeah, already sports car alike. Two different battery sizes you get, either 66 kilowatt hours net, and this is then an LFP battery, or an 87.5 kilowatt hour net battery. This is then an NMC battery, so it has different chemistry, and some are fans of the LFP batteries because it's easier or more sustainable to keep them at 100% at home, for example. So for daily usage, sometimes they are actually even better. In both cases, you charge in under 20 minutes from 10 to 80% state of charge, because you have an 800 volt charging infrastructure. And usually so far, yeah, the Audi Q6 e-tron has it, the Porsche Macan, the Audi e-tron GT and the Porsche Taycan, so they kind of introduced it. Also then with the Hyundai cars, the Kia EV6, the Hyundai Ioniq 5, Hyundai Ioniq 6, for example. Now Xpeng is following with this 800 volt architecture, and that makes fast charging so quick actually. 215 kilowatt peak for the small battery, and here for the big battery even a 280 kilowatt peak. Vehicle to load is possible, you get a heat pump as standard, and yeah, as we've just heard, the battery sizes are actually bigger than with the Tesla Model Y. Of course, efficiency also plays a big role. We're going to drive this one here later on, and the question is, does it feature a frunk? Ta-da! No, actually it does not. Oh, it features gas struts here to hold it open, yes, but there's actually no frunk underneath. There would be, I think, some more space, so maybe a small one could be fitted at some point, I don't know. Yeah, but that is one thing that this car is not featuring. However, you have to say that the rest of the feature list is actually very much complete, considering that you can not pick any options with this vehicle because it already has basically everything inside, like the Tesla approach, but here even more so because the assistance systems are not separated, they are already included. So they do supply normal key fobs, but you can also of course use the app, yeah, like you are used from Tesla here. Then the door handles, they come out like this. We also have seen this kind of system before, and door closing sound is very solid, and that is very rare. We recently discussed it with the Mercedes CLE and the BMW 4 Series Coupe. That is very rare that a vehicle has here frameless doors, and at the same time there's good door closing sound. That is astonishing. And the same also counts for the rear. Very interesting. Let's check out these windows here. So this is also a dual insulation. Heads off to that. Then inside of the doors, this is here also somewhat soft touch. There is like an 18 speaker extensive sound system here in this vehicle. Here these levers, so 4 for the windows. This is very interesting because this is a position where usually you have the front window levers and here would be the rear ones. So they have positioned it pretty much in the front. You have to get used to that a little bit. And then here inside of the doors here, this is all hardback though, although you have at least like this structure right here. Then a very minimalistic cockpit. However, in comparison to a Tesla, you have real buttons. For example, here a scroll wheel at the steering wheel and these controls, a favorite button, and also digital instruments. And this is actually to me a very important thing. Next to here, high-grade leatherette seats, either here in black, would also be possible in bright with a great quality. Look at that, how plush they are. So really soft perforation. So this is already passive ventilation. However, you can also activate an active seat ventilation then here. And let's say from the quality, the ones in the Model 3 are already very, very good. These ones here, I would say, are better than the Model Y at this moment of the shooting of this video. When there is the Model Y Juniper update, which will probably get the seats of the Model 3, yeah, then I think they will be on par again. So very comfortable and plush seating indeed. I'm really happy with that. Here, easy controls. You can control the seats forward and the back of the seat like this here. Steering wheel control is manual like this, also pretty easy. And also on the dashboard, you have this neoprene-alike structure here. So this makes a good impression also from the quality. One of my favorite features here is, you know, I have a thing for physical controls. For example, the climate unit. And here we have that big screen again. We can control the climate unit there, but they do have another solution here. And that is indeed directly on the steering wheel. So when I use this jog here, up and down, this does control the temperature. And when I press right and left here, this does control the air volume. The only thing is when I'm in the cruise control mode later on than here on the driving part, then it switches to the cruise control commands. Is also a very interesting thought behind that, you know. So then probably always when I use the AC, I'll cancel the cruise control. Then headroom here with 189, 6'2", yeah, plenty of headroom left. Fixed panoramic roof, soon also more to that when I'm in the back position. Steering wheel is also animal-free material and a very high quality indeed, so you're not missing out on anything here. As I said, a very clean cockpit, 10-inch instruments, 15-inch infotainment in a rather horizontal format. Then you have here the fabric covers for the speakers again, and the ambient lighting integration you can already see here in the lower part. There is a large middle console, and it now features, is also an upgrade for the G9, for example, the bigger SUV. Recently they have developed this 2x 50 watt chargers, inductive chargers, and they are also cooled. So this is also another thing they improved bit by bit with their models. The G6 gets it now and is something where they start differently and now adapted it. Here also adaptive cup holders in the front. They are not that large though. And then here you have very soft also for your elbow, and you open that and have a lot of space underneath. Underneath the middle console, by the way, USB-A and USB-C charging, and Leah is helping us with the 12-volt charging. Driver POV. On the right side here you control the volume of the music. By the way, the sound system is really very good. And then here, digital instruments. When you set a gear, then also the speed comes live. In the middle part you have this assistance system view. And you guys still know this one here? Yes, used to have this one, this dog column at Mercedes. Then Tesla Model S and X carried it over, and now this one we find in the Xpeng. Here the screen. Very interesting. We start with the dark mode, but you can also go to display settings and have a day mode, or have it in the auto setting, as of course also possible. And is, yeah, like we know from Tesla, for example, with different controls, light settings and so on. And you can also individualize this lower menu here, for example. So when you press and hold one of these, then you can, for example, here set the driver seat ventilation. Click that one. Oh, Moment. There we go. So there, drag and drop. That's it. And for example, then passenger heating. That would be probably our setup here. So that Leah has a quick access to heating and I have a quick access to seat cooling. And yeah, you can individualize or maybe like change it from season to season. And here in the lower part, this is the temperature control if you don't do it at the steering wheel, for example. Or you can also do it like this. Oh, it sounds interesting. Yeah, and by the way, the rear view camera also has a quite good quality. Very interesting is also the self-parking feature. So here, at the moment, the map full screen, but when I stand still and turn in reverse gear, for example, here already shows me the available parking spots, and I can select which one I want to have. And let's take this one and start auto park. Release the brake pedal to begin parking, and now starts parking in, and I do exactly nothing. The car does it all by itself. And we know Audi parking systems before, it's not a new thing, but like how accessible it is and how easy you can just click that and how smoothly it works. I think the best thing here to me is that it's working so flawless and easy that you can click it actually, because sometimes a lot of vehicles have these auto park systems, but I can never use it because it takes so much time to activate these systems that in that time I have parked myself. Yes, when you can park very well, you still are quicker in that case, but here is very comfortable, that setting, I think. Rear seats, soft touch on the top part, then some fabric insert here on top of the speakers. Then here there's the release button for the rear door. This is also soft fabric. And then, yeah, this structure, but no soft cover on the inside here. Then what is actually quite good, we have using all the EV platform. So there's no middle tunnel or something, all the way open area, 2 USB-C chargers. And then the seat as I would be driving, you have some leg room left here or some knee room left. So that's actually okay. It's relatively low, this seating bench. So you have actually a lot of headroom for this coupe-ish form also on the outside with 189 602. That's astonishing. You see here, this is the panoramic view through the glass roof. And yes, it's always hotter than with a fixed roof. That's in any case. But they say that actually 99% of all the UV rays are being filtered out. And I have to say, the sun is shining, and considering it is a glass roof, it's staying relatively cool. So that seems to be some good work in that case. This bench here is at the moment set all the way backward. I can also pull a lever here. That is this lever here. This one I pull on my side. And when you pull this one, then it also goes forward. They have a more upright seating position like this. This is also fine. This is more like laid back, more for sleeping. I think the standard position would probably then here like something in between. You also have the soft leatherette here in the rear part. Look at that here, like very plush, good quality perforation as well. Isofix outsides each. And the top part here is more like neoprene-like texture. So this can be also wiped clean, easy and so on. Yeah, but this one here, the perforation is better for the breathability. This one here, you can pull down. It's also very soft then for your elbows and so on. And here you can fold out the cup holders. The only thing you see here, when it's more in the backward position, this is also tilted. So this would be more clever if it's like this or in the middle position. Then you see, then this is here also rather straight. You have to go experiment with that. One thing is then when you flip the seat, I can show that to you. So you fold the seat or do that from the trunk. Like this, and when you push it up again, then this one here is folding down. So maybe that's not like a very serious problem, but maybe it could be a little bit better stored in there. That would probably be some room for optimization. Towing, by the way, at 1.5 tons, and the boot or the trunk is 570 liters. But what does it mean? Electric hatch, open it underneath here, and then you have this cover here. Yeah, like this, left and right. And then here, the seats can be actually easily folded from here, just reaching over. And this one can be folded up like this. So some sample luggage outside. And between the wheel arches, it's 1 meter or 40 inches, a little bit wider. Here underneath there is some space also for a charging cable, for example. You can also take out that whole thing, also possible. And the normal length is a little bit less than 1 meter or 40 inches. And the total length here, I fold 2/3 of that, 2/3, 1/3 split. Here total length, they are a little bit less than 1 meters 80 or 70 inches. Overall a well usable trunk. This coupe ending here, yeah, doesn't have so much compromise. It's still quite high in this area. You can also see that varying this seat here in the inclination does a lot for the trunk volume then as well. Sport mode. Ooh. Launch control. Plop. Woo! And that was already 0 to 90 kilometers an hour. With that launch control here, get even a little bit more boost. There's no like preloading or something possible or so. You just floor it then with your right foot. Yeah, performance-wise, acceleration-wise, here in this performance model, already like a sports car. Also here in this sport setting, I have a little bit more feedback from the steering wheel. That's actually quite nice. I like that because in the standard mode, it's a little bit vague. It has like hardly any really feeling to it. And in the sport mode, definitely better feedback. So that I would prefer. However, it's also possible to go individual. They can rule the power response and also just the steering itself. I could, for example, set the steering to sport, but the power to comfort if I want to have a more relaxed acceleration and so on. Also to put less G-force on the passenger, but then again have a better response from the steering. And I really like that setting. You can also here individually rule the regeneration setting. For example, set to X pedal. In that case, then you have strong recuperation, one pedal driving feeling, or you just set it too low, and then when you lift your foot off the throttle or the accelerator pedal, then there's no recuperation and you're just rolling. So this can also be individualized and save it in the individual mode, and that's it. I think in this case you can just pick what is more suitable for you actually. Interesting point is here that we have that fixed suspension, as is always with this model here. It's also the same with the Tesla Model Y, and we have 20-inch wheels mounted, and that is of course always prone to maybe not so good comfort also, but so far it's holding up quite well. Let's see how it behaves when we go through some potholes or something like that. But here 90 kilometers an hour, like 55 miles an hour, when I do a lane change, it's actually quite nice. It doesn't shake up too much or something. So yeah, suspension is not set on the stiffest note, but also not on the softest note. I think a good balanced feeling in between. What I do feel here is when I do a lane change, that it kind of, not sure if you've even seen it on camera, it almost like hooked me up still with the steering wheel, as if the lane keeping assist would like to interfere. Then again, you could also deactivate it. With the speed limit warning, for example, the thing is that when it hits you the first time with that, it asks you to deactivate and you can just click it. Other than that, you can also, for example, here, deactivate it when you just turn it down once like this. So they programmed the whole new software to have easier solutions for that. Also, as for the cruise control, for example, I can set it here. So here, that's the activation for that. And now I don't have the, as I said earlier, the AC control here anymore, but I can set the cruise control speed here with my left thumb. And let's see, as for these level 2 assistance systems features. So there's a beautiful old timer here, or vintage vehicle in front of us, a Mercedes. And then we can see, is the steering movement in any way hectic or is it smooth and so on. And so we are here with slide left bend, now it's going straight again, and there are not many overcorrections or something. You can see it right here. Of course, you still have to keep your hands on the steering wheel, it's still level 2, but this is also a great upgrade. For example, they have to set it up for the German or for the European, here in this case then the Danish routes, because the roads in China and the road conditions are also different. For example, I was told there are no parked cars at the side of the road. And that's why the system here first malfunctioned with that when there were cars parked on the side of the road, and this has been now completely reprogrammed. So definitely a very, very smoother appearance from the whole assistance systems and so on. And you see here, it's remaining relatively calm here from that steering. Also, when I drove this Xpeng G9, like the bigger SUV, yeah, as I was mentioning Xpeng, here the voice assistant is also getting activated. I tuned down that volume of that voice assistant as well. Otherwise, also when you get out of the vehicle, they always get a note, you forgot your mobile phone when it's, for example, laying here. But that can also be tuned down from the voice. So a year ago when I drove the Xpeng G9, assistance systems wise, that was not suitable for European roads yet. But now, with a lot of software updates, changes and so on, this works very well. So can be compared with other competitors you have there on the road. And this is also one of the major changes here, since this software update, I'm driving the newest version as we speak here. This has been just launched basically now, like as in today, and this was one of the major changes they did to upgrade all of these assistance systems. Oh, this is the hell. There was someone running very quickly. Let's see if we can overtake this vintage vehicle here. So sometimes I miss a little bit of steering feeling when I'm here in the corner or in the roundabout. Here, this is like, it feels kind of artificial, almost a little bit dead. Even if you have a little bit more resistance in the sport mode, it's not like that you have a natural driving feeling. This is the one thing maybe that is not happening with this vehicle. Other than that, as for suspension and like how vehicle drives, it's pretty smooth. Noise insulation here, so far so good. We cannot test it high-speed German Autobahn here today, but here at 90 kilometers an hour, like I said, 55 miles an hour, there's no annoying wind noise or something like that. At some point maybe we can also repeat on really, really high speeds. But also driving character-wise, it looks like it's actually well built. The thing is that for the driving agility, driving dynamics, you don't feel it when you're going straight most of the time. But when you're doing a lot of corners and so on, let's say it's not the most fun vehicle to drive. Like the widest comparison would be there to a Porsche Macan. That would be maybe on the other spectrum there. As for the sport and so on, most vehicles don't need to be that sporty for average customers, of course. But as I said, due to the lack of the steering feel, I feel, and that the suspension is more on the comfort side, which is both perfectly fine, but the driving agility, driving fun is not on top of the game if you compare to some of the competitors. Then again, it might not be the most important thing here. More important will, of course, be efficiency and so on. What do we have as for the average consumption? With very good conditions here, of course. 24 degrees Celsius, so it's like 76 degrees Fahrenheit, something like that. So mild temperatures, really nice. AC is working a bit. And here, 90 kilometers an hour. Denmark has really low speeds in general, so great conditions for a good, efficient consumption. And we'll keep you updated later on what we score as for that. And some motorway, like 110 kilometers an hour, still pretty silent here. So once again, good noise insulation. So I like that actually. Remains calm also from suspension. Let's do a lane change here. So suspension-wise, that's really nice. The only thing that kind of buggers me is that the lane keeping assist, it kind of like locks on really, really quickly. And the turning indicator doesn't reset itself pretty quickly. So these are two things. So you do a lane change, and then even before you finish the lane change, like the lane itself, it like kind of like says like, hey, I'm taking this vehicle, So because the lane keeping assist is locking onto that lane, I feel too quickly. And yeah, as I said, when you set the turning indicator somewhere, it could reset easier than to the non-turning indicator position. Plus the steering, especially now it did it. Yeah, probably it needs a little bit more steering than, for example, in the Tesla. Here, it's like steering through thin air. So there the sport setting does help already. Yes, that does help, but doesn't change the whole steering characteristic. Average consumption, we have to say most ideal conditions and not too high speed. 15 kilowatt hours on 1 kilometer, that's 4.1 miles per kilowatt hour, means range for the small battery around 440 kilometers. That would be some 270 miles. Or for the big battery, the one we have here right now, that would mean even some 580 kilometers or 360 miles of range. Of course, very good figures here indeed, but as I said, the most ideal conditions. Maybe at a later time we can repeat it with lower temperature and higher speed, maybe in Germany, Autobahn and so on. But so far, of course, very promising results here. We always have to compare the conditions, of course, where we score these in. Pricing starts just over 44,000 euros as a German reference price, then 52,000 euros for the bigger battery, and then 57,000 euros as it stands right now, big battery plus all-wheel drive. And that is all very much comparable to a Tesla Model Y. However, here you already have the assistance systems included, so it's not separate with the autopilot like with Tesla. So the price proposition is even a little bit better. Also considering that here you have a bigger battery, a couple of kilowatt hours each, and also that you have a better fast charging. It's way quicker than the Tesla recharging here at this moment. So indeed, we have to say, it seems to be even a better price performance offer. Yes, the Teslas are still super efficient. That's of course the thing. So it's maybe not like a super bad thing that they have a little bit less of battery capacity as for that reason. And here, of course, you still have stock columns and also digital instruments, which you don't have in a Tesla. Still, of course, the Tesla Model Y has been the best-selling car in 2023, for example, overall, not only EVs, and will be really hard to crush it from that position there. But I think the Xpeng G6 has a very good chance to be one of the fiercest competitor now for the Tesla Model Y, because the overall price-performance ratio is so excellent. What do you think? Do you agree? And compare it to the Tesla Model Y, our recent test, and also more competitors.